learn how to become the best version of yourself. And when you tap into that best version of yourself, you're tapping into God energy. You're tapping into Jesus energy, Buddha energy, Muhammad energy. Like that energy that has permeated cultures all throughout civilization. They've been called different things. I think we all have that. And that is our journey if you want to go on that walk. But for me, it's been very beneficial to tap more into that spiritual side and understand what were the spiritual teachings, what were they actually talking about, how were they telling us to communicate with each other, with ourselves, how are they telling us to be of service, because that's been a huge thing right now for me, is like service,
right?
Like just can I help you right now? Can I help you? Can I give you something? Can I give you my time? Can I give you a little money, a little food? And I don't need anything back. And it's just like, I think, right now with social media, sometimes we just are so me, and it's, nah, man, it's us. Like, we're all here at this time, right now, all of us. Like, this is our team. I saw this beautiful old dude speaking the other day, 100%. And he's like, these are our people. Like, all of us on planet Earth right now. Yeah. This is our team. This is our squad.
This is us.
Like, this is
our window together.
This is our window together, exactly. And like what a blessing.
So, people, welcome back. We're here at Beyond the Hustle, live at Core Cultural Studios, Taipei, Taiwan. Madam Vision created this amazing platform for us to have discussions that we hope will go beyond your typical hustle bustle mentality. And we're going to dive deep. And I'm very honored, grateful. I feel the power. I feel the love. He's fresh off a plane from Bali. Just copped a crib out in Bali. He's doing it all. He's from podcast hosting, surf coaching, overall James Bonding. There's too many layers to John Drummond, but thank you for being on the show, John.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this to Armel and the fam. This is a space. This is beautiful, first of all. This is the second time I've gotten to sit in this room.
Right.
First time was very special. As you, and that's really when you and I got to connect.
Right, that was the first time.
And I just loved that you were doing this, building it, and I'm honored to be here.
Man, it's gonna be super. I can already tell. We were already vibing on that event. We were at an event that was created by one of our guests, Torden, called Future Forge, and it's an amazing gathering. But I know when me and John was just kind of like riffing that night, it was already like, this is a brother from another.
Yeah, I did. I was like, how have I not met you before? You're a legend.
No, you're the legend, John. How long have you been in Taipei for?
I have been in Taipei for 8 years, and this will be, unfortunately, the last few weeks. This is the end of the journey.
Wow, what a time to talk to you then.
Yeah. It's a closing of a chapter and a new chapter starting in Bali, but Taiwan, Taipei, Yilan. 我是宜兰人. I always joke.
真的吗?
Yeah, that's where I got my start. Is Yilan, because I came here to surf actually. So for those international, the east coast of Taiwan.
Right.
And there's a little surf culture.
宜兰人.
Oh, 真的吗?
对.
Oh, 很厉害. Oh. So that's where I adopted my dogs. That's where I was surfing. And that's where I met Torden and Fabio, who you met the other night.
So this is really a full circle moment.
Full circle,
sure.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to be the, like shaka up, yeah. Wow, 8 years here in Taipei, Taiwan.
8 years.
Bring us back to that. We'll kind of grow into this naturally, but bring us back to that first year. Why did you come to Taipei?
Yeah, so I was in Yilan for a year, and I was really spending a lot of time with Torden and these guys, and they were doing Burning Man style parties, and we called them jungle parties.
Wow!
And this was outdoor parties. They were just gatherings. It was all free. There was nothing, and it was just bring something to contribute to the event and kind of trade and barter and give love.
This was 8 years ago?
This was 9 years ago.
Where the
This was
fuck
9
was
years.
I? How did I miss these?
Yeah. This. You would have loved this. This was exactly your energy. And it was so all these great people. Shout out Neo, who you met, by the way.
Nice.
Neo was a big part of that. Sam Perninsky, if you've
Nice.
met that or know that name.
Yeah, I know Sam. He raps too.
Yes,
Yeah, I know Sam.
he raps.
Sam's
Yep.
right. Dallas.
John Jenkins.
John
Dallas
Jenkins.
joined that scene, I think, a little bit later. After I had kind of finished
Yo, this
up.
is cool because I feel like this is like y'all are the seniors.
Yeah.
I'm like a freshman vibe.
I kinda feel that
yeah,
right now,
it's
yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
but like in a cool way.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
have you got the varsity jackets on right now.
We did it, yeah. Oh man, and so at that time though, I was out there, and they were just like, John, you got to come to Taipei. There's so many more opportunities in Taipei, and I, being from a little suburb in a beach culture in San Diego, I never wanted to live in a city. So you got that New York hustle. That was not my energy. My energy was beach energy. I wanted to be in the ocean.
Wow.
You know, I wanted to kind of vibe. And so I would never thought about cities. So I landed in Taipei. I went straight to Elon. Like Taipei City didn't even catch my attention. I stayed here for one day just so I could catch the train the next morning to Waiao Beach.
That's
Shout out Garrett
crazy.
and
Waiao.
yeah, Waiao, the west side.
Toe
east side,
Chun,
actually.
Toe Chun, let's
yeah,
go.
Yeah, you know it. And at the time too, 8-9 years ago, even less developed.
Right.
Nothing really there.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so anyway, they were like, you know what? There's so many more opportunities. You should come to Taipei, explore it, figure out what you're going to be doing so you can contribute more. And I really took that to heart, and I thought about it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make the move, and came up here, and the journey began.
That's amazing. And since then, I mean, 8 years later, you've been on ICRT.
Yeah.
You've been on multiple media programs. I mean, you started a mental wellness company.
Yeah, we it's head of operations for Rethink Wellbeing,
Wow.
which is a mental health group therapy. Did TEDx Nehu so started kind of that vibe, and
Yeah, I saw the clip for that.
been
Epic.
Been working with a lot of artists and DJs, so I had a big hand in Looptopia, all the loop and the C'est La Vie kind of energy, and just really connected. I was at the time too, is kind of that energy of a lot of these incredible artists were coming to Taiwan, but you know, they were kind of thrust into Taiwanese culture, and it was a little bit overwhelming. Not to say anything against Taiwanese culture, but I was just trying to be. I was trying to be that. Yeah, I was trying to be that bridge. I was like, let me take care of these artists that are coming in, big artists, Steve Aoki, Martin Garrix.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I was like, let me take care of them. Let me be their like artist liaison.
Yes.
And let me show them if they're ready. Let me like dip a toe. You know, do they want to dabble that night market? Probably not. Do they want a stinky tofu? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like, let me take them to a nice hot pot spot and introduce them.
Stinky tofu, for those of you who don't know, that stinky tofu smell like feet.
Woo!
But it's tasty.
It's tasty. It grows on you.
Yeah, it's an
like fungus.
It's an acquired taste.
It's an acquired taste.
That's
it really
crazy.
is. Yeah, and so I wanted to show them Taiwan, but I wanted to do it from more of a foreigner, a Lao Wai perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wai,
shout out to the Loop. The Loop is who does C'est La Vie, Core, and Omni.
Shout out to them.
And they gave me a shot, and they were like, all right, you take care of our artists for shows and for big events. And yeah, so I was doing a lot of that as well.
Oh, that's awesome. What an amazing way to just kind of get integrated with the creative community and people doing it at the highest level.
The highest level.
I mean,
you said
even
it.
Steve Aoki is such an inspiration, him and his father's story.
Yeah. Dude, it was
Benny Hanna's, oh my God.
It was actually hilarious too, because I had to go pick up Steve Aoki he was playing New Year's Eve, like 2018. I had to go pick him up at the airport.
Yeah.
Flying in. He was mad. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but it was all good. Nothing too crazy. He was really mad at his tour manager. So his tour manager and him are supposed to take the private car, and then we all get in like a van together, and we tailgate behind. But he's like, no, he's going in the van. You're coming with me. So the first time I met Steve Aoki, him and I are in this beautiful, V-Class Mercedes, and he's just like, yeah, like I my girlfriend.
Good, Steve?
I was like, Steve, what's up? And, he's like, yeah, my sister is dating a Taiwanese guy, so all the family's in town for the show. So, I want to show them a good time, and we just got to kind of connect, and that's what I love the most about artists is just getting that human connection. Just let them feel at ease. We don't need to rush into conversation. We'll flow if we flow, But yeah, it was so beautiful to do that with Steve.
And I think, a big theme of this show too especially with you as a guest, is going to be the art of conversation. I feel like you are honing in. This is just me speaking freely. I can't speak for anyone else. This is my opinion, guys. All opinions are my own. But I do feel like, John, you are honing into a mastery of the art of conversation, and very inspiring for myself as a young, aspiring conversationalist.
The varsity jacket is going to you.
Not yet. No, I didn't get that time yet. I didn't get the time on the field yet, but that's what we're doing here. So my first major question I want to lead into is a banger, of course.
Okay, I love it. Love the bangers.
What wakes you up, man? What gets you hyped?
Ooh, yeah, great question. You know, I've really been tapping into understanding mindset right now, understanding how people overcome adversity, how they reframe and restructure trouble or adversity in their lives. And that is what is getting me up. That's what's now led me into mental health with the startup, my own personal struggles, my parents' struggles. And then you realize the levels that everyone is actually dealing with of something, right? Everyone's got something. It's kind of cliche, but so what gets me up is seeing the human element of everyone I meet, and just trying to have a little compassion and just hear what's going on in the world. And it brings me such pleasure to get to kind of tap into someone who's going through something, and if they feel safe enough to open up to me and share that with me, it just gives me so much energy. And so it's not to say that I want to talk about struggles all the time and all this, but I want to talk about how you're thinking about it. I want to talk about how you are internalizing what you're going through. And because for me, it's been such a big window of my time was this unconscious level of, I'm going through stuff, but I am also torturing myself through it. I'm
like droney.
Yeah, I'm just being negative about it. I'm being a little bit victim-y. I'm being like, why me? Poor me. And I'm like, things are happening, fine. But first of all, did I cause that? A lot of it, yeah. You know, I had to take more responsibility. But then it was just, what's the story I'm talking? Like, how am I talking to myself about all these things? And so this mindset, this energy of this state, story, strategy, which we can get into in a second, and how I've been navigating that's been really waking me up, really just connecting me to the world, to humanity, and it's been so beautiful to me.
And I can feel that passion. I'm sure everyone can feel that passion around you as well. You know, especially from that first night we met, you know, you were a very strong beacon of light. And so I really appreciate you, you know, just being so open and free about that, you know, and that leads me to, where do you think that was instilled from? Who instilled that? What instilled that? What was the catalyst for that, you know, chemical reaction of new thinking?
Yeah, beautiful. Truthfully, I think it was my father's gentle guidance. I was kind of resentful of my father for many years.
Vice versa.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you, brother.
And I wish there was more of that father figure in my life. But I realize as I get older now, he had a very like, you're going to learn, you're on your journey, son. If I tell you too much, you might not understand, and you might resent me for that way. So I resented him because he wasn't really there. But now I respect it because he was saying, go, do your thing. Come back to me when you want to. I'm always here. He just planted these seeds very beautifully and watered them always in a way that I didn't understand until I was probably late 20s and early 30s now, and really just see that he just lives his life through that compassion and that kindness. He always jokes, like the Dalai Lama thing of kindness is my religion. And he embodies it. He really does. And I thought it was cheesy back in the day. I thought it was artificial.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
And I think that's why I kind of went more into the hip hop, the darker hip hop world, because he was listening to like the Beatles and like he was in, you know, like all very like lovey-dovey, like peace and love. And I was like,
the Beatles get dark too, though.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, they do. And actually, most artists do. You know, like most of the like classic rock genre.
Having a conversation with that dark side.
Yeah, they really are. But I was seeing this, like, you know, probably what people maybe see of me now sometimes is they see this like guy who's maybe a little too nice, you know, and they're like, what like, are you manipulating me? Are you like, what's your agenda?
You know what I've gotten?
Yeah.
People always, when I'm hype, I'm in a good energy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just naturally
Yeah.
loving.
Right.
People are like, what do you want?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like, what did you take?
Can I take? Yeah. Do people say that to you sometimes?
All the time. All the time. And
so interesting.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm like, wow, it's a funny thing, but it's just obviously levels, right? Where everyone's at, what they're receiving, what they're ready to receive. But yeah, so I think
that's fire.
Yeah, so sorry though, Ivan, to get to that full circle of that answer is, I think my father gently instilled it, watered it, and as I got older, I reflected back and I learned how to understand his approach and to learn that, I am a son of my father in so many different ways, and hopefully the best ways. You know, we of course all have our flaws and imperfections, and I want to do things a lot differently than he did, but that kindness, that compassion, always trying to be generous, be gracious, and be grateful is now more awake in me than ever.
Wow, that's powerful. That's inspiring. Why do you think you're here now? Is it to channel that message?
Oh, man, that's a very beautiful question, Ivan, because that has been a reflection question since COVID for me. Of like, what am I doing? What am I doing here?
Right. The question before this actually is, naturally I have these thoughts too. I'm sure many people do. Why bother? Does it even matter? One of my guys out in New York has a clothing brand called that. Like, does it even matter? Right? Mm-hmm. Why does it matter to you, John?
Yeah, I think that is your own personal definition. I think we all are here to kind of find that thing for us. And I think that's the tough answer, but that's like also the beautiful answer, right? It's subjective, right? Like, you can make your life whatever you want. Ivan, Armel, you guys are creating right now, and I think, how I now want to show up is this like future vision of myself that I'm looking at, and I'm trying to keep him in my mind. Kind of what we did with that event of who is that man that John respects in 10 years, in 5 years, and how can I be him today? So the decisions that I'm making, the discipline that I have, the habits, like all the ways that I'm speaking to others, but also how I'm speaking to myself is like so important. And I think I'm here right now trying to kind of take all that and like, I've got like the recipe, the ingredients, but I'm like downloading the recipe right now, and I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to make John. And I don't have that answer fully yet, but I think I'm here to do something with mindset, with mental health, with mental wellness, with kindness, with compassion, with playfulness, with positive energy, but not that naivety of not knowing how hard life is, how real life is. And I think I had to go through a lot of those things so I could appreciate that yin yang, right? The darkness and the light, and I think that's what I'm here to find out.
I feel that, and beautifully said, because I'm also curious about how you feel like you balance mindfulness practices and ambitious goal setting, because I know from some of our conversations. Or at least let me see if I can reframe this. I think a lot of people view certain work that people in the mental space industries, they view them as potential dark side, is like, gurus or self-help. Like, sometimes there's a negative connotation to it. I stay away from that myself. But on the positive note, I think there's this gap opening up for practical, very easily practicable things we can take. So it's like, it's not just taboo anymore. Like this is real. This like the mind is real. Yeah. And there's a disease that's been spreading in this world. And I feel like there are certain characters who are like, whoa, guys. Yeah. So how do you feel like you balance that between mindfulness practice and ambitious goal setting to create?
Yeah, it's beautiful what you just were talking about too, because that's the kind of dark side of me that I appreciate, that more skeptical side. Right. I'm not easily influenced. And because of that, I think I have then seen, and I've been studying right now, successful people in all aspects of life. And what I'm seeing is it's all inside them. You know, you have your mentors, your coaches, you know, people, your friends and family, right? But it's all here. And so the wisdom, I think, of my journey is helping people kind of reclaim their own energy for themselves, and whatever that means to them, whether that's faith for them or spirituality or entrepreneurship, a little bit of everything, you know, that's fine, but it has to be authentic to them. And it's okay for so many people to start that journey, you know, maybe they go to these seminars and these things where maybe are a little more predatory by nature, you know, kind of trying to get people's money, right? Let me sell you a course. But I think there still is, again, the yin yang. There's a dark and a light with all of that.
Right,
so
right.
hopefully they can take something where they don't need to become suckling on the teat of that thing forever,
Right.
but they do know how to then grow and continue learning by themselves and learn that self-mastery. So the spirituality and the hustle that I try to have right now is I think the beauty of kind of how I was raised. I've got this side of me that loves spirituality, loves love, loves compassion,
yeah.
you know, but I got this other side of me
Vibes.
that just is also like, it's the darker side of me, right? It's been hurt. It's been traumatized, you
It's
know.
the scars.
It's the scars.
It's the scars.
Right?
We all got them.
And so,
100%. Because when you're so free loving,
yeah, right.
you know, when you wear the heart on the sleeve, right?
You're gonna take it. Yeah.
People be bumping into that heart.
and we are givers, and takers come into that world, you know, and they take. And so how do I balance that now is just a daily practice of a check-in of like,
What's that look like?
what am I doing what's my day look like? So it's a morning thing. It has to happen every day. And you know, the analogy for this is like, you got to brush your teeth every day. You know, you can't do it every couple weeks, right? Like disease, plaque is going to build up. Like it's the same with our minds. Like our minds are they're just programs. They're just programs. And if you don't kind of refresh that memory each day and you don't kind of rerun the program, you can veer off course very slightly, but you look back 3 years and you're like, fuck, what the fuck just happened? Can I swear on this? I apologize.
Always. Yeah. It's all good. We realize it.
All right. So
I don't know if it bleeps. Automatic bleeps.
it's like young Jamie over there. I love it.
Yeah, shout out. Nah.
Shout out Armel.
Armel's the young god.
Young God. Yes. I love it. King. Yeah. So it's a daily check-in. It's a daily morning check-in with myself. And this is, now we kind of just naturally went to that state, story, strategy.
All right.
Okay, so that practical thing is, what is the story I'm telling myself? Or sorry, excuse me. What is the state of mind I am right now to tell myself a story that's happening right now, to then have a strategy for my day? So when you are feeling a little low, you're feeling a little off, your state of mind is negative. It might be vibrating a lot lower. So the story you're going to tell yourself is like, I'm not capable. I'm not good enough. Like, that person's better than me. Like, I fucked up. It's just a story. It's just a story. But it tells you the strategy of, nah, not today. And that can happen every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
You can reset. But if you do have practices in place where you can say, no, my state of mind is grateful. When something bad happens, you can always tap into gratitude.
Yeah.
So I can tap into gratitude. I tell myself the story of gratefulness,
right,
of like thankfulness for whatever little thing. What you can go as zoomed out or zoomed in as you want. And then your strategy becomes more open. You're more welcoming to the new energy of the world. So it's a daily practice that I have to do.
That's amazing. That's very, I feel, in parallel with some of the current greats in the psychology industries. One of my favorite documentaries as of recent is Stutz. Did you watch that?
Yeah, Jonah Hill, right?
Yeah.
Yep, I did. Love that.
I just thought that was so cool, because here we are, and it's like, you want to see people offering practical steps in these situations of, like, as simple as waking up. There's days I wake up and I'm like, damn, you know? And I think a lot of people are going through that now, especially. So state, story, strategy, check in with yourself.
Check in. Yeah.
real quick in the morning. And it can it be with coffee?
Yeah, beautiful. And so I do it at the first thing in the morning because I have seen the research on that for understanding kind of the psychology of when you can do it in the morning, you're more susceptible to openness throughout the day. While if you start a little stressed, you start busy, you're a little more closed, you try to do it later, it's a little harder. Now, you can tap into that anytime though, too. So somebody cuts you off in traffic, something happens at work, take just 2 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, go into the bathroom, just start over, state, story, strategy, kind of reset. So you can use that at any time, and you can move your body, energy gets stuck, and this is not to be woo-woo, energy gets stuck in our body. So another thing you can do is just throw the shoulders up and down, kind of bounce. Our bodies are vessels of energy, and we got the whole lymphatic system. So you can tap your body, get the energy unstuck. It gives yourself a second to just get out of your head also, and kind of let that energy kind of, all right, good, let's reset.
Coming back.
Yeah.
Warrior status.
So that state, story, strategy, and then I think just movement a little bit too in that moment. I think maybe like you, we're heady guys. We're heady, meaning we spend a lot of time thinking about things, contemplating maybe. Analytical, right?
Philosophical for sure.
Exactly, and love that. I'm so grateful for this thing, but it can also be, a double-edged sword. So getting into your body when you're overthinking something, if you're like a little stressed out, you're a little tense, get back into your body for a second. Great way to reset.
That's amazing. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And on that note too, as you've been developing these processes, these frameworks, what did you start to become aware of within yourself and within the way maybe reality started responding to you as you practice these frameworks you've created?
Yeah, you the weird thing that has come to me is that I don't know how to actually articulate this fully yet, but it's just been a reoccurring thought is I don't know anything. Like in the sense of I thought, the dude doing jumping jacks in the park was a weirdo. And now I'm looking at him, or like, you see the Lauren, they're walking in just tapping themselves in the park.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
They knew it all
along, right? Like
we were judging them.
We were judging, exactly. Like I've been so judgmental to things I didn't understand. And that's been this framework that I'm trying to now take into my life of just be a kid about it. Just go into it with curiosity. Don't go into it knowing that I know anyway. So that little thing for me, that's working right now, but maybe it doesn't in a year, that's okay. But, there's so much wisdom from everyone around you, especially the older generations. And we see them here in Taipei, in the parks, at the riverside where I take my dogs every morning. I'm like, they're tapped into something. They're tapped in and
they're charging up.
They're charging up. And so I've really been trying to embody this new playful, childlike mindset of the more I can, know that I don't know everything is way better for me.
Do you feel like you have a specific, faith or belief that drives you? Is there God, higher power, universe, spirit science, aliens?
Yeah.
What do you gravitate towards in terms of like that celestial wind?
Yeah, it kind of goes to this curiosity. I rejected big religion for many years of my life. I rejected kind of that classic, do this, don't do that. I was always kind of trying to fight the man in that respect, but. Again, the curiosity,
societal constraints.
Yeah, like don't tell people what to do, like how to do it. It's all a journey within. But so the story that I've been tapped into recently is just a feeling of this energetic, universal like force. I call it God sometimes. I call it energy most of the times. I call it the universe most probably frequently.
A force with many names.
A force with many names because I just think that, life is energy, energy is neither created nor destroyed. So like my scientific mind can appreciate that, but to say maybe it's a dude, that's a little harder for me.
Yeah.
But I think truthfully, and this is, this turns people off a lot, is I think we have that God energy inside us, all of us, every single one. And I believe kind of part of our journeys, and I'm speaking now to myself, take it if you want, is to learn how to become the best version of yourself. And when you tap into that best version of yourself, you're tapping into God energy. You're tapping into Jesus energy, Buddha energy, Muhammad energy. Like that energy that has permeated cultures all throughout civilization. They've been called different things. I think we all have that. And that is our journey if you want to go on that walk. But for me, it's been very beneficial to tap more into that spiritual side and understand what were the spiritual teachings, what were they actually talking about, how were they telling us to communicate with each other, with ourselves, how are they telling us to be of service, because that's been a huge thing right now for me, is like service,
right?
Like just can I help you right now? Can I help you? Can I give you something? Can I give you my time? Can I give you a little money, a little food? And I don't need anything back. And it's just like, I think, right now with social media, sometimes we just are so me, and it's, nah, man, it's us. Like, we're all here at this time, right now, all of us. Like, this is our team. I saw this beautiful old dude speaking the other day, 100%. And he's like, these are our people. Like, all of us on planet Earth right now. Yeah. This is our team. This is our squad.
This is us.
Like this, this is
our window together.
This is our window together. Exactly. And like what a blessing, right. like it's family. We're all family. And again, there's a lot of layers to that, but so many layers, yeah. But it's just really helped me appreciate. It's really helped me kind of just tap into that thing that I'm learning to call God, the universe, energy. Still not sure how to define it best, but I know when I am my best, I am grateful for my time with you. I'm grateful to be breathing. I'm grateful to just have a little time to sit and just talk and share, and there's something there for me. So that's where my spiritual kind of Venn diagram is right now. I
feel that. No, I love that you say that. That's true. It is a Venn diagram, and I'm a Venn diagram back to what you said earlier about what kind of connects you, and you spoke about your father instilling certain values of kindness, empathy, compassion, and then leading towards why I asked you why that even matters. I always wonder that too. When we're in our highest state, so to say, hypothetically, high vibration, God mode, flowing, right? Like the greats we all look up to, whether it's your favorite rap star, whether it's your favorite religious character. I think we can all agree these people were flowing. They were tapped into something that was allowing them to be, dare we say, supernatural, dare we say, legendary, unforgettable. Like there's so many different adjectives we can use to describe this untouchable force, but I think that's a big driving thing on this show is what is that thing beyond when you're in flow state.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that? Have you felt that?
Yeah. I think I have.
I think we all have at certain points, and we all want to be more consistent.
Yeah, right.
Because you're a surfer. That's that wave, right? What is that? Can you break that down for me?
Yeah.
What is that feeling like?
Yeah, I think you first of all, you articulated it beautifully, and I call that being present. And so the beauty of being a surfer is you have to be present. And when I do study the greats, as you beautifully said, in religion, in sports, in business, in life, and whatever, they are tapped in to giving their gift in the present moment. And so what I love about surfing is you can be thinking about all your problems, but if you want to go catch that wave, you got to stop. Like you can't. You got to be like, you're reading the wave, what direction it is, what way the swell is moving, how fast is it, what position do you need to put your body in, how fast can you get to your feet,
right?
Can you feel it? And then then it's a dance. It's a dance with energy, and you can't be anywhere else, literally, but also mentally, because as soon as you start thinking about something else, you fall. You're off, right?
That's wild.
And so I just had a beautiful surf in Bali.
Oh, you caught a crazy one.
Oh my God, it was the best session I've had in Bali this last trip I was there. And you cannot think, you can't be anywhere else. It just forces you to be present. And I think that's what so many people actually like about surfing.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know it yet,
Yeah.
but you can have so much going on in the real world. But as soon as you get in the water, that like rebirth.
You caught a crazy one?
Yeah. And
you
just
was on that for a minute?
Yeah. And like 2 minutes. And I was just cruising, and just, ooh. And you get a little attitude to it, like you're like, I got it. Woo, I still got it, but then Mother Nature will check you,
Real quick.
then you'll step on a rock and
Real quick.
But I jumped off the wave and I just went underwater and I just was like, whoa, I like screamed, and I was like, yes. And then I popped up, and it's so wild too, because then I just looked around and I was all peaceful and I was just seeing other people catching waves. And I was like, this is beautiful. This is it. So I think just being present as much as you can, kind of just tap into being where you are when you are there. I think that's when we're open to the world.
100%. I took a trip to Nazaré, by the way.
Oh, wow. Portugal. Yeah, baby.
I went to go.
Did you see some big waves?
I met Ryan McNamara.
No. The pioneer.
Come on now.
Okay, you're tapped in. I didn't know you were so tapped in.
Come on, I'm at the.
We got all kinds of things going on here. The zeitgeist.
The zeitgeist. The canon.
Dude, you are cultured, my friend. That is the best way I can describe you.
I only wish I could be more surf cultured as yourself, because I was born in Hawaii. I'm not a good surfer. I haven't surfed in a long time. I feel like that's gonna be my next saga. Is more time on the waves, because those are kind of my heroes. It's like these kind of characters who are like, my God, Nazaré was crazy.
Yeah, was it going off when you were there?
It's going off. It's going off.
Can you feel it?
Raining. You gotta go. You're gonna go.
Yeah, my partner and I have been talking about going for a while.
Go. You're gonna see that.
I don't think I could even hang there, first of all, but I could just appreciate. I don't think I could surf it realistically.
I mean, yeah, even the baby one. The baby ones are already like.
That gotta be 30
meters.
feet, right?
Yeah, 30 meters.
30 meters?
Sorry, are my meters feet wrong? What's 30 feet is what?
30 feet is
like 10 meters?
10 meters, yeah.
Okay, no, it get.
Yeah, so I guess it
some
does.
Some of them get big. I mean, the one guy hit like
I think he hit 100 feet.
Foot.
Yes, right? So
the German guy, Sebastian.
Yeah.
There's a little hall of fame in there too with the boards.
Wow.
Oh, you gotta go.
Special.
Jay, you gotta go.
That's cool.
On that note too, though. Speaking of that, who's your favorite historical, philosophical? Maybe it doesn't have to be philosophical, but who's your favorite historical character?
Ooh, this is a fun one. I've really appreciated over the years in many different ways a guy named Alan Watts.
Wow.
Alan Watts is a philosopher, poet, author, and he just had such a beautiful way with words. I think we talked about at the beginning of the show. Maybe it was on or it wasn't, but I love lyricism. I love articulation.
Wow.
And I'm not great at it all the time, but I just love watching people who are craftsmen at that. And Alan Watts, he speaks about so many beautiful things. But the thing that I really connected to Alan Watts, it was probably about 15, 20 years ago. And it's becoming more and more relevant as I go. And he says this paragraph, and he's basically like, every chapter of your life, you're trying to get that thing, right? You were in school, you were trying to get your diploma. You went to get the job, you wanted to get a better job, and you're chasing your money, and you're just going to the next thing, and you get your family, and all these things. He gives a beautiful analogy of all these things. And he's like, and then you die. He's like, no. He's like, the point of life is to dance along the way. An orchestra, a symphony doesn't just start and then stop. It dances. There's so much that's happening between the point, and it's that kind of cliche now that's become. It's not the destination, it's the journey. Right. And Alan Watts has this just beautiful paragraph, and it's just like, you got to learn to dance along the way, because
That's wonderful.
it's gonna be, we're here and then we're here today, we're gone tomorrow. I think that's like a sample from one of Drake's songs, but
yeah,
you got that.
Shout
Oh, I think that's with
That's
him
when
and Jay-Z.
nothing was the same.
Nothing
right?
was the same. Yep.
Right?
I
That's
think
from
with
that
Jay-Z.
album?
Yeah, we're right. With here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, and I can hear the beat drop coming.
Me too, but I can't think of what's after that. But anyway, yeah. So Alan Watts, dance along the way has been something I've been really trying to tap into, because life has been a bit stressful for me the past couple of years, and the more I am playful with myself, the more I am actually just having a great time, and the more I am actually stressed out about the future, or like what I'm doing, the more closed off I am, the more I'm not enjoying things. I'm not present.
Right.
So yeah, dance. Shout out Alan Watts.
That's dope. Alan Watts, the GOAT. I don't even want to say the word GOAT no more, actually. on some other notes of the zeitgeist.
You've been saying GOAT a lot?
I don't want to say GOAT.
Everybody's a GOAT.
Yo,
now.
stop. No more GOAT. Shout out Alan Watts, the dolphin.
Yo, dolphins are wild. Speaking of dolphins, I love dolphins.
I remember one time I was in Miami last year. Shout out Manu Zuluaga, head of mixology over at one of the great bars out there. But we were high as hell, and I was saying like, yo, I was like serious. I was like, Manny, you know, like dolphins are more evolved than us, right? Like they're better conscious creatures than us. He's laughing. I was like, the only reason we got them is because we got the thumbs. We have the opposal thumbs.
Yeah.
But he was laughing. He was like, so then why do they let it? Why do they let us trap them and stuff like that? Mm. I'm like, because they're that spirit.
They're trying to teach us.
Dude, that was funny.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But you speak about stress, and I have here. Has your beliefs ever been tested?
Oh yeah.
Have you been proven wrong? How did you adjust? How did you adapt?
Yeah, I think one of the criticisms that I've gotten from people that I love and respect is that my beliefs haven't been as formulated as they have probably in the past couple of years. I'd say in my early 20s, mid 20s, I was still trying to download information. I was traveling the world trying to understand.
You are well traveled.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm so grateful for that, by the way. Just been living my life all over. And I think part of the reason I was doing that was because I was searching for people who had different answers to different equations, and what could I learn and how could I assimilate that into my life. And so I remember some of the early criticisms were, John, you know, you're not as stable in my 20s. And what they meant by that was the fact that I was still trying to define my beliefs. I was still trying to understand. I knew some core fundamental ones, but certain other ones I wasn't clear on yet. You know, this was just me being I was drinking all the time. I was partying all the time. Right. And then I'd be going doing yoga. And they were just like, you seem like you're all over the place, you know, like which world do you want to live in? And I hated that because I didn't want to actually be in one world. I'm so grateful for my childhood because I got along with the geeks, the nerds, the jocks, the hustlers. I loved all of them. Right. And that was because I was just trying to just learn from them. I was just trying to tap in. Unfortunately, it led me down. I got into some criminal activity, but because I had the wrong influences. And so I had to learn how to appreciate people, how to feel their energy, how to give them my energy, but also have boundaries. And so my beliefs have been tested because I've gotten into some shady shit. I've gotten into some deep trouble. I've been arrested, been kicked out of things, been fired. And at those moments, I've just looking back, you start to reflect. Yeah. What were the patterns that led to those things? Is there any way now today that I can, lessen those things?
Right.
And so the belief systems have been challenged, but again, I don't think my goal is to never be 100% with any specific beliefs that are. Everything's a little bit in flux, and the reason for that is
stay fluid.
Yeah, I want to make sure if I learn new information, I want to have the right to change my mind, and I hope that I'm changing my mind for the better. because I've learned new things. I hope not because anyone influenced me or because I was persuaded, but because I see now that I was missing this. I had a blind spot in my knowledge. And so I've been really trying to take in new information, make sure I can hold opposing thoughts in my mind, and then what is best for me in the way I want to show up. That's how I'm trying to now kind of put together my new beliefs.
That's amazing. And you mentioned, social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a very key topic right now
Yeah.
because you speak about information, and I think that is the most powerful way we're all consuming information. Those of you watching this, you're probably watching this right now on a social media platform.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear that, I think about ideas of like sovereignty of your information.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned before, it's very me now. And I feel that too, because, you're in mental wellness, and I'm going to drop a word that I think has a lot of heavy connotations to it. And I want to talk about it with you. Maybe we can kind of, it's a little off track, but I think we can expand.
I'm here, baby.
Narcissism.
Yeah.
Narcissism. Very interesting old concept.
Mm-hmm.
Deep Greek mythology concept. Our narcissist and echo. What's your take on what's happening now in the world, and then layered back to what you're seeing maybe with some of your clients, some of the people you've been helping, and then back to yourself in this idea of what is narcissism?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. This narcissism has played a big role in my life. I've been with some narcissistic partners, and I've also had narcissistic tendencies.
Same.
And I think, and that's beautiful. And I think, truthfully, this might be a little blanket statement, but what I'm seeing is my level of compassion now for narcissism is very clear, because narcissism seems to be a response to trauma. It seems to be a defense mechanism to pain that happened, oftentimes early childhood, and it's an armor that you put up to protect yourself from the world. Unfortunately, it oftentimes happened at such an early age that as an adult, 20s, 30s, 40s, when we're still wearing that armor of something that happened back when we were 10, it doesn't make sense. And so it looks very childish. It feels very childish. Like, why is this 40-year-old man speaking to me like he's 10? You're angry almost at them.
Right.
But it's an unconscious response mechanism.
Shout out Trump and Biden.
Yeah, right. Right.
See, this is what we're seeing, reflecting. It's like...
So what I want to say to that, Ivan, is I was so angry at like Trump, for example, like, look at this fucking narcissist, right? But now it is compassion. It's like, oh man, dude, what happened to him that he has not checked? What, I again, I'm not actually a trained psychologist. I just work with psychologists and doctors.
Right.
So I please take my words for what they are. But what I see in the space that I work in and with myself and with those around me is, man, it's just so often that it's an unconscious behavioral pattern of something that happened from an early age. We call it trauma.
Right.
That's a loaded word again
That's
as
very
well.
loaded, right?
But it just means it's something that happened that was a core memory that was not great. And
could be a few of them too.
It could be PTSD, right? It could be repetitive, and your body was just trying to keep you alive. And so narcissistic personalities, I believe, oftentimes can come from that repetitive trauma, and your brain has basically shut off a part of you. And anytime you're triggered in a present moment as an adult, you instantly just go back to that moment, and you put on this defense. And
I've been going.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I'm sitting here with you, and I'm happy to be sitting here with you, because you don't always have people to talk about this kind of topics with who are well versed on the subject, which I feel you are. But lately, I have been kind of exploring that what we've defined as narcissism versus what I'm seeing as potential like animalistic drives, because a lot of times you'll see people, or you'll feel people will be complaining about someone, or they'll be in a situation where they have a problem with someone, and usually that someone is on the spectrum of like narcissism. But our society is built to, yes, good job, narcissist.
Yeah, right.
Good job.
Especially if they're male, I will say too.
You want to be on the...
Yeah.
So lately I've been having those kind of, thoughts and analyzations of like, as we look at our world now, I'm sure we're all very sensitive to it. You know, the world's at war. There's a lot of beautiful things happening, of course, on different aspects, but a lot of the information we're getting that I think is causing stress to all of us are coming from these kind of traits. And I don't know what to call it. So then there's words like narcissism, there's words like animal nature, survival instinct, all of this. How do you make of that whole, I know that's a smorgasbord of things, but how do you navigate that energy?
Yeah, I think for me, it has come back to, I need to understand John's boundaries. Boundaries. So when I spend time with Ivan, when I spend time with Armel, when I spend time with a new stranger, I know any moment can something weird can happen, right? And so the more tapped into who I am and who I want to be, the more clear on my decisions that I'm going to make to tolerate that behavior or to just have compassion for it, but let that go. I had a people-pleasing tendency. And so when I would be in a relationship with someone who had more of those narcissistic traits, I wanted to help them. But I was just enabling them, right? It's like an addict. I was just giving them drugs, basically, and like fueling their fire.
Yeah.
And instead of, and it would just hurt me, truthfully, right? It would actually just hurt me in the long run. And so I wasn't clear on my own boundaries. I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to walk away because I was scared. And so I think to your question is there's an opportunity that all of us have to just start to kind of tap more into ourselves.
Right.
Because once you're clearer on, and it doesn't have to be you're right or wrong, but it's just what feels good, what feels not good, what can you tolerate, and what can you just like say no to with love. And it doesn't mean to be like, fuck that person, which I did, what I did for so many years. Say no with love. Yeah. You just like wish them well, but just, you gotta just say, hey, like, whether that's a friendship, and that's hard, these are hard, right? Friendship, relationship, right? Business, partnership. But yeah, just understanding, what is best for you. And, the body doesn't lie. When you are in your best self, when you are calm and you are present, you can usually tap into more intuition. Again, this isn't to be too woo-woo or anything.
It's all good. We go woo-woo
yeah.
We woo-woo out here.
The more you are just like here where you are, just kind of tapping into yourself, the more you can kind of ask yourself those questions. You cannot ask yourself those questions when you are pissed at that person.
Oh, for sure.
Because that's when you're in your ego. That's when you're activated. You're in your parasympathetic fight or flight. Your sympathetic fight or flight, not parasympathetic. You want to be in parasympathetic.
I see that.
Para is parachute, slows you down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, if you ever confuse those two.
All right.
You want to be parasympathetic, but when you are sympathetic, you're fighting or flighting. You can't make logical decisions. You're actually just reactive.
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, fuck that person. Right. You want to be angry with them. Like you're just matching their energy. Take a step back, slow down, parasympathetic, then be like, do I want to spend time with this person? Is this the best thing for me? And that's when it does become hard, right? You have a decision to make at that point. But that's a long-winded answer of I have to know my boundaries, and those boundaries get tested. I'm not cutthroat. The first time they tip their toe in my boundary, I cut them off. No. Right. Have a little more compassion, a little more understanding. Maybe there's disagreement. They don't know your boundaries, right? They don't see your invisible wall.
That's key, yeah.
But communicate that. So once you understand your boundaries, you communicate that to people. Yeah. If they keep passing that boundary, you give them a few chances, but then you say no.
That's a big hard part, though, for a lot of people, for myself in my life, even in many situations of saying no with love. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, it's very hard.
How do you know? Like, because there are people who have like allowed people stepping over boundaries just for years.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
And I've been the overstepping of boundary person. I've been the person who's overstepped boundaries for
also
years.
Guilty of that.
Right. I think we all are unanimously. So it's like, That's a tricky one. How do you know when it's like it's time to shift?
Man, that's a really good question, Ivan. I'm dealing with that actually right now in a business situation, and and I don't have a great answer to that yet.
Right.
I don't have a great answer to that. I'm really trying to communicate it to that person and speak through the differences, but it's a deeper seated, it's a disagreement of personality traits, truthfully. Right. And although we are fighting for the same thing, right, the personal chemistry is just not there. And so, yeah, that's the question is now, like, do I need to walk away from this business partner? Right.
And that's kind of like, those are the thing about boundaries. I think is interesting is previous guests, I'm going to say it one more time. I had a situation, like, here's a perfect example. You and your dad get into an argument. Mm-hmm. When you're in your 20s or you're younger, you're in your 20s, whether you're still living with your dad or not, he still has the ability to kind of have a certain authority. Mm-hmm. You can't leave the house, right? Like, your bed is under his roof. But at
he's paying the rent.
Right. At a certain point when it's two men, right, disagreement, I'm walking this way. Yeah. Like, I'm out. Yeah. And there's power there, and there's also, like, the macro version, Putin and nukes, right? He's talking like that too. Mm-hmm. He's like, guys, stop stepping on my boundaries. Stop stepping on my boundaries. Yeah. So this is very interesting. I mean, we can go deeper on it, but yeah, boundaries are important. What tools, services, ideas do you wish existed then and now? I know you're creating tools that are helping, but what do you wish existed to help people with those recognition of boundaries and maybe perhaps walking away from a boundary crossed?
Yeah, I heard the founder of, shout out Taiwan, NVIDIA, Jensen Huang.
Jensen, what's good, Jensen?
He said something in an interview, I think a few months ago, and he was talking about you have to go through suffering. Right. He basically said, like, I wish you meant more pain and suffering. The thing that I have found very fascinating and kind of troublesome to this question is, I'm not sure exactly yet if we can be proactive in helping people fully tap into their fullest potential if they haven't gone through something that has really pushed them.
Enough pain. The pain threshold.
Because the pain threshold, if you've had everything, you don't really understand what we're even talking about right now. Once you have gone through pain and suffering, you start to actually have more of a human understanding to your neighbor. And
that's
so
the yin yang.
That's the yin yang. And so I'm troubled by this because I'm in mental health, I'm in mental well-being, right, but I'm also seeing, like, can I create something that's proactive, that alleviates suffering before it happens? I don't know if that is possible. I think that might have to be something with the human existence, the human experience. So that's something that I'm going to keep continuing working on. I think that's more of my entrepreneurial path to keep thinking about those things. But in the meantime, the tools that I do hope to see more of are, how do you understand what a boundary is? How do you define a boundary for yourself? How do you begin to understand what is triggering you in a way that is not being like them, they are triggering me. Yeah. Nah, something is happening inside you. So we have to go a little more internally. So I wish there's more tools for us to learn how to go internal and understand what's that little spark. Why does John or Ivan get a little pissed off when that thing happens? Yeah. Right? When you're irritated with somebody in traffic, they always say, right, you got to look with you. Like, it's something probably with you.
Yeah, you're just in your own car.
Right. You're just yelling. You're drinking your poison, And so it's hard for people to understand that because it feels good to rage. Right. It feels good to release. That is a form of release. Right. And that's a human emotion. That's okay too. But if it is a repetitive rage, if it is a detrimental habit that I rage, therefore I drink alcohol, therefore I hit my wife, therefore I regret tomorrow, if that cycle is happening, then you got to peel back the onion, right? And you got to start. So I want to work with teams. I want to work with people. I want to work with products and services that are focused on tapping into that mindset of like, how can we go a little bit more within, but in a scientific way. So it's a balance for me, a duality of science and spirit.
And I love that you brought that aspect up, science, spirit, because immediately as you're saying this, my thought process is thinking about also, like, here we are in Taipei, Taiwan, and they have very interesting cultural backgrounds to deal with people. For example, one is like purple astrology, which is like a very spiritual way of analyzing and reading the stars and the planets at the precise minute
you
that you were born,
right? Yeah. Human design and all that, right?
I don't want to butcher it. Zhu Wei. All right.
Yeah.
Little fun note. Zhu Wei. As I'm saying this, all the Taiwanese Chinese people are laughing at me because one way of saying it in the tone means masturbation, and the right way means purple astrology. But that's fascinating to me too, because then like fast forward, that's thousands of years old. Fast forward, I think of Ray Dalio, who has his personality frameworks, right? So he's taking like Myers-Briggs, but then he's creating his own framework of like, how do we match certain people that create the best outcomes and results?
Yeah. You're saying it. Yeah. It's beautiful. Is there a question there? I can go.
I'm vibing with you. Like, how do you feel like we do that better?
Yeah. I love that you just brought up Ray Dalio. I love Ray Dalio. His book Principles taps into all of that, like the life of how he would create playing cards, I think, for his company, right? Is that what you're referring to? And he would be like, Ivan matches well with Armin, so like we're gonna put them in the same department, like.
Right.
Yeah. So that's crazy because that's playing God, but that's his company, right? So like you can. Okay.
So this is where it gets tricky.
It gets tricky, right? Like I don't know if we can do that in the daily, the hustle, right? Like out in the street, I don't know if John can be like, this person and this person. That feels a little culty, like that feels a little like that's guru-y.
I think that's the spirit science clash.
Yeah. So there has to be So I care so much right now about the spirit science clash because I want to be able to prove basically the spirituality aspect of life, and that you can take that wherever you want. But basically, just I want to be able to run a randomized controlled trial and be able to show you like, hey, because these people, over 200 people, so there's a good sample size, over 200 people did this thing, these didn't, here are some results. Right. It doesn't mean it's correlated exactly, but there, you can start deducting some reason of like, hey, maybe that thing is working, right? And it doesn't work for everyone, right? There's all these different things, but I really do think that there's some opportunities for people to kind of, just tap into that playfulness of okay, let's test some spiritual stuff. Like let's do some spiritual craziness. And why don't we? Yeah, like can we bring a little science into it?
I was like, let's release the bans on DMT.
Yeah, let's do some DMT and study it. Yeah, but what's interesting too about like the other side that I reject a little bit from the academic world is the over clinicalization of things.
I love that
right?
You said that.
So right now there's a huge thing. They're studying MDMA a lot. They're studying mushrooms, psilocybin, but they're doing it in just a very clinical, cold way. Like it's very calculated, right? And they have to because this is the way that our scientific world evolves. But the way the spiritual world evolves is not like that. It's very flowy, fluid. Yeah, it happens between you and me sitting here on the floor. We pop a little thing and we blast off and we just talk for days, and it's hard to do that in a clinical setting, right? Because it's got to be timed. Everyone's taking note. Like imagine it's just us here and Armel is just sitting like right there, just like note taking everything. Like
right.
It's just it takes away from the organic nature of it all, and so. I don't know what that answer is yet, but I do say a big reason I'm moving to Bali is because a lot of foreigners that travel to Bali, a lot of Balinese themselves are a little bit more curious about the spiritual world. And I think in Taiwan, it's a little bit more focused on the scientific world, the do this, don't do that. It's a little more like black and white, excuse me, whereas Bali is a little more open. They're a little more gray and blue and purple, you know? And again, that's not for everybody.
Right.
So you have to go there with an understanding already of yourself, I think, to be able
a certain open-mindedness.
Open-mindedness, knowing some boundaries,
Right.
knowing what you want to kind of try to dabble with and learn, and then you can tap in even greater. So
I think it's interesting too that I think on the spectrum you have your atheist scientist who believes in pure
right.
chaos theory.
Yeah.
Right?
Entropy.
Right? Nothing means nothing, which in a way, my personal opinion, that creates kind of like less accountability, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Right? It's like
yeah, like everything's fucked.
Right.
It's very nihilistic.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on the other true extreme is like you said, you know, culty,
yeah,
extreme religious groups.
Right.
But then somewhere in the middle, there's like people who believe in like visualization and manifestation practices that are done by, you know, some CEOs, some very successful people are practicing some of these. And then on this side, there's also like parallels with prayer and putting out energy, thoughts that manifest later. Where do you see that how do we kind of balance in the middle a little better when it comes to, you know, thoughts, ideas?
Oh, yeah. Again, I mean, this is kind of tapping into what might be my life mission. Is this the mindset, right? Of how can
trying to create a compass? I feel like you're doing.
Yeah, like your internal storm, your internal ecosystem is all just you also as a captain of the ship in your storm. And yeah, like, I love that, the compass. Like, you know, when I have more spiritual practices like meditation, like visualization, like yoga, like gratitude journaling, then actually I you know, the clouds part, you know, so that you have a little bit more. And so what I'm trying to say with that is it seems to be a test it to see if it works for you. And if it does, keep exploring it. I don't know if meditation per se is for everyone, but again, meditation means a million things. It's like, it's cliche, but dude, you can meditate by just saying, you know, like you can meditate by doing nothing. It's a practice. So the way that you start to explore yourself, the way you start to reflect on what works for you, what doesn't yet, what might, you know, you can play with these things.
Right.
And so I really do think that, as you're saying, in that spectrum, if you want to go check out a cult, you know, like check it out, you know, but like hopefully you have, you know, bring a little bit of skepticism into it, right?
Exactly.
And if you want to be cold, hard, scientific atheist, also maybe keep a little curiosity to the synchronicities of life.
Right.
You know, like the chance happenings of you just getting to run into an old friend you haven't seen in 20 years when you were thinking about him yesterday. Like, I think there's something there, you know? And again, I think it is more in the middle. And I think all of us are actually more in the middle. And it is just trying to navigate the loudest people that sometimes live at the end of those spectrums.
Very well said. Very well said. Yeah. That makes me I want to say something a little funny, like to my scientist friends, like the way I kind of, you know, I can be a very instigative guy sometimes, but it's like, how many times have we heard of stories of scientists burned at the stake?
Yeah.
The top leading scientist. This is truth. And then 100 years pass and we're looking at them.
Exactly.
Like, so it's like,
yeah,
the same scientists are saying these today. Like, I can't believe you 100%, my bro.
Right, bro. It's like, so beautiful. You just said that.
You know,
that's like you gotta keep that humility of like, bro, you don't know 100%.
Come on, G.
You don't.
Yeah.
We didn't know 200 years ago about all the shit we're doing right now. Exactly. Like, there's just. Like, that's life is gonna unfold.
It's like you can't be that guy 100 years ago just because you just found a new quantum theory.
Yeah,
And you're telling me
you can't. And it probably goes both ways too. And that's why I am trying to stay open-minded to the hardcore religions, you know, like I'm like, okay, yeah, well, probably not hardcore religion, the extremists, but religion. I know
what you mean.
Yeah,
the Christianity, Islam, Judaism,
Catholicism, exactly.
Buddhism,
all that. Like, there's so much actually beauty in that.
Oh, there's a lot of knowledge.
It's just, I'm like, what is lost though, right? And to me, it seems like some power of control. I'm like, okay, so if you take away the control aspect and you just look at the teachings are beautiful. And I'm like, okay, well, I can get behind that. Like, I can talk to my Christian friend actually about all the values that he has now beautifully, because I'm like, bro, those are great. I'm so happy for you. Your faith is beautiful. And he's like, yo, you want to come to church and do these things? I'm like, maybe not. You know, like
that always happens.
You know, like,
but maybe, I'll go to church because
I'll listen. We can talk and we can dabble. And we can.
Is there gonna be food?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good music,
right?
Worship music. Worship music kind of goes hard. I played in a worship band. Actually.
That's dope. That's dope. Nah, worship music came a long way.
Came a long way.
I mean, Ye dropped Jesus is King. That was an album.
That was an album. Yeah. So I think just keeping a healthy level of skepticism, curiosity, and an open mind that you don't know shit. Like, we're going to look back at 100 years and John is going to probably sound like a fucking idiot for saying probably half of this.
I mean, I've joked with Armel, like, if you really go a little bit more macro, like the fact that we're talking and I understand the words you're saying, but it's just a sound molded into exactly, right? And it's like, on the macro level, what's listening to us is probably like, dude, why are they even trying to talk?
Yeah.
Telepathy. Like,
that's why I loved Armel.
Right,
Armel. Event.
Yeah.
He was telling me all about his plans.
Telepathy, you know, Neuralink.
Yeah.
You know,
we're headed there, baby.
Yeah, it's just like intention, light speed. And that's why I mentioned dolphins. That's like echo. That's like sonar. Sonar. It's like I know what you're about.
Downloaded it.
Got it. Cool. Not chilling with you.
Yeah.
Not flowing with you. I'm gonna flow with this pack.
I'm swimming in this current.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like we're kind of headed towards that in a digital way.
That's I think about the same thing with more technology companies that I work with and AI. You know, that's all headed actually towards more just a different level of communication that might unfold. You know, we might just learn how to communicate in all sorts of new fun ways. And yeah, you know, it's going to be a crazy time though, baby.
Are you excited?
I am, yeah. I'm a techno optimist. I think, but my understanding of social media towards mental health, I'm trying to work more in that space right now because I want to learn about how they are thinking about those things as well. So meaning like, okay, if you just put this new piece of technology into the world, you know, Mark Zuckerberg gets so much shit these days, but bro, he had no intention of fucking up kids' mental health. Like that was not, it's a byproduct of what happened.
I see the angle you're talking about.
Yeah. And so I think I just want to hear the conversations that they're having. Like, I want to be at the forefront of that to try to bring it to try to just marry a little more of mental health and technology. Health tech is the space that I'm like dabbling in the most right now.
Really cool.
But the truth is, Ivan, I could be fucking it all up, right? Like, I don't know. Like, my intentions are good. Mark Zuckerberg's intentions were good.
Right. These are your These are your current bets.
These are our bets. Yeah.
Jamie previously mentioned a quote. I have to remember who it's from, but about all your hours in your life is a chip. That you're betting.
Oh fuck, dude, I love that.
I gotta get that.
Dang, can I actually say something to that? I'll piggyback off that. Shout out Jamie McGregor. Fucking love that guy. The reason I got into mental health is because I learned of a concept in an organization and a movement called 80,000 hours.
Oh,
so everyone heard of, you know, 10,000 hours, right?
Yes.
Mastery.
Malcolm Gladwell.
Exactly, right? So what is 80,000 hours, friends? 80,000 hours is kind of your career. 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life is 80,000 hours. And so how do you do the math on what type of impact do you want to have in the world? What are you spending the majority of your life thinking about? And that's kind of your career. Your career is the biggest chunk of your life. And so that concept really got me thinking about, holy shit, like I need to be very, very intentional with where I put my 80,000 hours. Because I'm already, into my career, and I've always tried to have impact, but now I'm like, oh, I'm even more driven to do this because this is where I want to put my 80,000 hours.
Right.
So I just love those like numbers about
No,
that.
thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna do a deep dive on that too, because I think depending on who's viewing the show, whether you're here today or you're here years from now, that's a funny thing too, right?
Internet.
The first viewer watching this could be watching this in the future, shit like that. But we don't look like this anymore. We look better.
That's right.
But it makes me think of like, time is so elusive. It's such a. What's your definition of time?
Ooh, man, time. Oh, this is a wild one.
We're in the energy philosophical
I love it.
focus area of the segment.
Oh, man. Yeah, time is I don't have an actual definition of time.
True.
But
Interpretation.
It's more of a
Your relationship with time.
My relationship with time is John is his best self when John is focused on the time right now. And that's that present moment thing. And when John is too future focused, I'm a little bit I'm closed off. I'm a little bit anxious. I'm a little bit tense. When John is past focus, I'm a little bit maybe sad, maybe a little bit angry, a little regretful.
Right.
But when John can kind of come back to the present time, the only time we have right now, then I do feel a surrender,
Nice.
an openness. And when I am in my best self, I feel like a positivity, an excitement for maybe I get a little more time.
That's dope. Do you believe transcendence exists? Or do you have a version of what transcendence looks like?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, this kind of ties into my spiritual side of me, this energy kind of I'm speaking of. I do think for myself, transcendence will be a full acceptance of myself. I think there's a lot of components to John that I'm still not quite 100% on board with.
Right.
I tell myself in the mirror that I like myself, I accept myself, but I know deep down I have still parts of myself that I'm not proud of,
Right.
that I need to keep working on, keep developing. So I think my transcendence will be, can I fully love and accept this meat bag that I am,
Right.
And when I can accept that fully, I accept everyone else as a gift too,
Right.
because I realize, and this is counterintuitive to people, but
I think so too. Yeah.
the more I love myself, in not a narcissistic way, in a healed way, in a healing way of, I accept John. I understand the past choices he made.
Right.
I'm not going to make those choices anymore moving forward.
Right.
In a just a pure way, a pure, kind way. The more I love my neighbor. When I am mad at John, when I'm pissed at myself for decisions I made, when I'm angry at myself, I'm a little bit more judgmental to the external. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like projection.
Yeah, and I project that anger out. And I'm a little more maybe jealous or a little bit like comparative,
Right.
But when I come back to me and I'm like, yeah, you did great today. Then I'm like, fucking Ivan did great today. Fucking Armello did great today. Then I'm like, then I see the greatness in others. And it's really weird because I think that's hard for people. That's the counterintuitive part of like, dude, the more you can give yourself that compassion, the more you get to give it. And the more that you receive it again too. Maybe it's that energetics. But yeah, so transcendence is really just
Pure acceptance.
can I just love me? Can I fully love me in a healthy, pure, kind way?
That can benefit others
and
around
then
you.
I can serve others better. Yeah, that's really what I want.
Yeah, that's fire. That made me remember. You just brought up an old memory that kind of appears every now and then. But there's a story about even my dad. He went to some monastery, and the monk held a session, and they asked everybody, "What's your name?" And then my father said his name. He said, like, "I'm Peter," and the monk started laughing, just fell on the floor, started rolling, laughing. And like to this day, I never really got like the full story, because like I feel like maybe my dad still sees himself as Peter.
Right.
But I say that in a very like metaphorical way of like, you know, you say John, I identify myself as Ivan. What names on a blurb on a meat bag, right? Mm-hmm. So I think what you're talking about, that journey of self, almost is beyond what is what a name is, right? It's like you're describing like a feeling almost. Right. Like you call it John, but maybe it's not John. It's like you just know that's me.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think I say John in a way to kind of describe it to those listening and watching. But you're right.
I know what you mean.
I think it's the telepathy that we love from Armel. It's actually just a knowing. It's a knowledge that acceptance and then radiation. You know, like like it's that is what it is.
Right.
And I don't have to say John accepts John. You know, like it's just like known.
Right.
You know,
I sense that. Yeah, we're breaking it. We're breaking it down for y'all viewers. Like this is again art of conversation. If you see us on the outside, we don't really talk.
Silence.
We just vibe. Vibes. Speaking of vibes, any crazy, cool, artistic concepts that are inspiring you right now? You know, I know you're a fan of music, but in terms of art or concept or something that you've seen that's like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I would say it kind of comes back to movement. If I can dabble in movement right now. Ecstatic dance has been in my world a little bit right now. Yeah. Have you heard of this?
I've participated in some ecstatic dance events in my time.
And so
I'd be a gorilla. I'm a gorilla.
Yeah, just get wild. So I've always been into dance. I kind of told you it started with hip hop dancing, but it was also just, you know, parents being musical and being dancey and vibing. Everyone just vibes in our family. But I got turned off to dance for a while there, for a few years. I kind of closed off. I was like, I don't have time for dance. I don't have time for music. I was just like, I was too focused on the hustle.
Right.
That's why I love the concept of this show. But I actually closed off. Like I was only focusing on entrepreneurial, like podcasts, books.
I gotta make it. I
gotta make money.
My account
number
has to be
increasing. And so I turned off music for a few years of my life, and I'm just turning it back on.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it's been so nice.
Refreshing.
Oh my God!
I go through those phases too.
Yeah.
Like I don't listen to music for a while, but music and dance and
and when it comes back, I'm like, dang it!
Yeah,
it's probably got to be in a daily thing. You know, it's got to like turn on music, listen to music.
Right,
you know,
right?
But the aspect is actually the dance of just moving my body. And the more I've been learning about I don't want to butcher that. Somatic healing. So somatic, just kind of like movement of body, tapping of energy, and the way like energy just gets stuck in our body. I've just been appreciating dance in such a fun new way because I look at these like ecstatic dance classes and they're just going wild. And that's a form of release. That's a form of healing. It's a form of grief. It's recess. Yeah.
I miss recess.
Yeah. Fuck. I love recess, dude. I was a great Foursquare player. If you ever fucked with Foursquare.
Yeah, I know. You look like you're fast.
I'm fast. I was quick.
You look like that.
I was a little ninja.
That was me too. Like my speed was unstoppable.
Nice.
Unstoppable. I was fast.
Nice.
I'm still fast.
Ooh, you still got it. I was a lacrosse player.
Oh, really?
I love lacrosse because I'm a little guy, but I have power.
I can see that.
And so I could never play football in that aspect because I would just get destroyed. But lacrosse was great for that because I could go from the legs, hit, and guys wouldn't expect it. But you have to be fast, and so I love lacrosse.
You was taking out people's legs. I know you was.
No. I was
Charlie Horse.
No, Charlie Horse. No, because I wanted to be respected for my game. So I was.
Oh, he was dodging.
I was just.
Yeah, lacrosse is crazy.
Lacrosse was wild.
What a sport.
Yeah, shout out Alex Schultz. He got me into lacrosse because I was a baseball guy, and he was like, "Baseball is dumb," and I was like, "What? how could you say such a thing? And he showed me lacrosse. I was like, baseball isn't dumb, but lacrosse is cool too. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be the if, if, or it's like, and, But anyway, dude, sorry. The point of this all is movement and dance and the appreciation for fitness
right.
again, and just cardiovascular health. That kind of aspect of my cultural side has been really fun right now. Just tapping into different musics that I might not listen to daily, and just seeing how people move to that.
That's amazing.
How do you groove to that, and not judging it? Just being with it.
That's dope. Here in Asia, you spent a long time. I want to talk about the balance, the cross-cultural bridge.
Yeah.
East and West, because you're from California, I'm from New York. What are some of the things you've noticed, or that you've learned from? Just like get into it. Just you're leaving Taiwan. You've been here for a while. Like, what are some of the nuances?
Yeah. Oh, I'm good. Thank you, brother. There's, speaking Taiwan specifically, first of all, I love Taiwan. Taiwan I felt like I kind of did my university and my master's in Taiwan. I didn't, but I feel like I got raised here almost. I stepped into new chapters here. What I love about Taiwanese culture, and what I always encourage more of, is speaking your mind. And so Taiwanese culture has a very which means very polite. Kind of like
non-offensive. I don't want offense.
My fun. Like, I don't want to trouble you for this thing. Like, you don't want to lose face. And what I've really seen a lot of the younger Taiwanese, and I love it, is they're kind of starting to have identity. And what I felt, again, just as an outsider here, please take this with a grain of salt. When I first got here, I felt when I came to Taipei and I started working in a corporate setting, I didn't feel like anyone had their own identity. Right. And I was always like, what do you think? What do you want? And they were like, what do you mean? Like, what does the company want? And like, it was just it was beautiful, but it was also like, I wanted to shake it loose a little bit, because we grew up in that individualized culture, whereas Taiwanese culture is more, it's more family based, right? And it's more like centralized. Family, it's more like let's win together, right? Hierarchical, and so I had to learn that, and I'm seeing, in a hopefully a respectful way, younger Taiwanese that are learning to express themselves, to be free to create art, to create music, to write, but they're not disrespecting their heritage and their culture. And so, that's something that I'm loving right now.
That's very well said. And any very fun experiences you could share from your time with ACRT or I'm sure you've met and spoken to so many people.
Yeah, man. I've been so grateful for Taiwan. That's the other thing about it, is the level of gratitude I have for Taiwan, for the opportunities that I had. And this speaks a little bit, I think, to privilege potentially. Is I want to recognize that maybe as a white foreigner, maybe I had more privilege. I got some different opportunities, and so I hope I didn't squander those things. I hope we are all giving opportunities equally in these moments. But I think I was thrust a little bit, or I got a little bit of an easier pass to certain things. I got into like movies, and I got to do TV, and
I haven't seen your movie. I gotta see some of your movies, bro.
Just little parts.
Right.
I shouldn't say like I'm not no movie star or anything, but got to do Netflix and got to do some shows, and all of it was just so humbling, really. Of like there's just so much craft in the world, and I just love seeing it all. And so
that's great.
Would there be any one experience? Probably nothing that I could specifically pinpoint for you. I'm sorry to say that, but I would just say to Taiwan, 谢谢, really Taiwan let me be a weird little foreigner here, and gave me some fun opportunities.
That grew into
I got to grow and now into a warrior, and I can't wait to take Taiwan with me, as a partner, hopefully as a brother.
Right.
Hopefully I'm accepted a little bit into the family dinner, but I was just back in California visiting, and I had a driver from Taiwan, and we were just hitting it off, and I'm rooting for Taiwan now. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I'm rooting for all my Taiwanese friends who are all over the world, and I think that's the beauty of travel. Is like I do that. I lived in India for a while, so I still root for all my Indian homies. Lived in Thailand, still root for all my Thai homies. And same with Taiwan. And so I can't wait to now do that with Indonesia, global and the world. But that's amazing. Yeah, man, just life is beautiful. Taiwan is beautiful. The experiences of Taiwan are great if we stay open to them.
100%. And kind of as we I think we were breaking records already, man. Sorry, time flying.
Sorry, Armel.
I think we're gonna have to have a second part in Bali at John's spot.
Please.
I'm gonna set the mics up with the ocean in the back, and we're gonna we'll be in beach shorts on that's gonna be a fire setup, but that's gonna be another part. But as we move into this outro, let's talk about legacy. The legacy you want to leave here in not just Taiwan, but in the world, and essentially for the people who know you best.
Yeah, I think wrapping that all together, I think the legacy I do want to have is hopefully being some level of an inspiration to help people think about their own mental well-being, to think about how they are taking care of themselves, to whatever that means for them. And I've stopped drinking for a couple years now, and it's so special. I get a random text from a friend, that's like, hey man, I decided to stop drinking. I've been doing it for 2 months. I just want to let you know, like, that's because of you. Like those little things, like it's very special to me. And so it's a virtuous cycle for me, because it allows me to continue making the right choices for myself, and knowing that maybe that inspires someone down the road. That's not the goal, to inspire anyone at this stage, but it's to live to my full potential, and to say with less words that I accept myself, to give love, and I think really to help people feel like when you are around me, you can be your best self, and we're gonna help each other. We're gonna lift each other up because of that.
Well, I can't wait, man. I think you're truly inspiring. Just in these couple times meeting you, you've given me a certain energy, a certain conviction to allow me to know that, it's possible to really bring out some of the magic that is waiting to be unleashed. And I appreciate you being on the show once again. John Drummond, all the best in Bali. I'll see you out there. And where can we find you? Where can we follow your story for those who want to keep in touch?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ivan. You're a great conversationalist, interview lead. You're a legend. Can't wait to know more about you. You're going to have to interview yourself soon,
Protege, that's you.
Take the jacket.
Yo,
it's yours.
I'll be on your show, man. Yeah. You let me know.
But you can find me, John Drummond 89 on social media. Or Yang Haoen is my Chinese name. Tai Yang, the Yang, nice. Sunshine, like a Yang Guang, nice. Guang Yang, Yang Guang. I'm a little. I don't post as frequently as I used to, but feel free to follow along with the journey there. And
that's wonderful.
Thank you, Ivan.
My brother.
Yeah, sorry, got stuck.
Yes, sir.
Decapitated.
Beyond the hustle. Hit that, smash that subscribe button, do it all that,
You. Thanks, guys. Shout out Armel in the back.
Should we get a Kendrick outro going? Chill.
Little crip walking.
Yo. Yeah.
Dude, that beat is fire though. That West Coast.
Woo. I'm trying to be diplomatic.